Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. In this episode, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna take my original Inductrix 200 frame and transform it into the new Rakon Heli frame. Rakon Heli is actually providing with the carbon fiber and aluminum propeller cup so that it's much sturdy and doable than the original plastic frame, as you can see here. And this is what I'm gonna take everything apart and move it over, including the circuit board and everything, the canopy, and move that into the Rakon Heli frame. So I'm going to show you step by step how to do that. So first off, we need to find out what tool we need. So we need a set of screwdriver with Phillips and also the hex screwdriver and a pair of tweezer and also a pair of scissors. Those are the important tools that you need to do this operation. So first off, we're gonna take the old shell of the Inductrix 200 by removing the 3 screws. Phillips screwdriver is required for this task. Remove those 3 screws, and then once you have the 3 screw removed, you basically can flip it over and just take off the canopies. So what I do is just get a little, bowl to keep all the screws in one place. So now all those 3 screws are removed. Now I can just flip it over and just remove the top canopies. So as you can see here, now we can expose the flight controller board at this point. So with the flight control board, you see there's 4 rubber grommets that you need to remove the flight controller board from the old frame. So you basically gently remove those rubber grommets off those flight controller away from the frame. So what you do next is to remove the cable from the controller board. Basically, the first thing I do is remove the power on switch, which is toward the back, and then each connector to your motor. Make sure you have those motor, as you can see, is marked as motor 1, 2, and 3, and 4. This is very important that when you transform that into the new frame, the motor has to be in the same location as the original format. If you miss any of those steps, you might not be able to fly this quad. Either you're gonna flip it or it won't take off at all, because this is important that each motor has to go back in the exact same position. So what I actually do is, as you can see, the front of the board and also with the motor location. Then the next step at this frame here is that I want to show you how you remove those connector to your battery, and that's battery by removing those two screws on the frame, you actually removing the whole circuit board out, and you see there a connector to your original battery of the Inductrix 200. Okay, so in this at this point you have a choice. You either can use the same connector, or you can snip it out and actually remove the old connector. So make sure in this case that the motor location is correct. So what I do is mark them 1, 2, 3, and 4. By doing this, you actually knowing where all these position of the motor, so you can transform them back into the new frame. So now is a good time to remove the power switch of the old frame. So what you do next is by removing the little cushion sticker underneath the stands, that allow you to get access to the screw below that, so you can remove the stand and get to the motor mount screw underneath of each motor. A screwdriver to go in there and remove the screw inside to remove that feed, so that you can get to the motor mount, so you can remove that. Okay, now all you need now in this point, you just need the hex screwdriver, slide inside that hole, and there's one screw underneath every one of those stand. By removing them, you actually gonna expose the 3 screw underneath the motor that hold the motor down. Okay, by removing them. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and show you that one motor, how I do that one stand, and you just have to repeat that with the rest of the other 3. So now that the motors are all out, you can see I basically marked them exact location where they came out, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that is the front. So when you transform them to the new case, you know where they're supposed to go. So here what I want to, this is an optional. You can leave the whole original battery connector in place, or you can snip them and then replace them with the JST connector. So what I do here is I cut them off, I replace them with the JST, so now I can use other battery, you know, a 3S battery with 800 milliamps or 1000 milliamps. I don't have to use the original battery at this point. This isn't optional, but once you do this, you'll be warned that once you snip that wire, you will actually void the warranty of that flight controller from RakonHeli. Okay, so next step now, we just put everything aside and look at the RakonHeli frame. So let's open it up and let's work on that part. So everything from the old frames are out. So all the 4 stands are installed right now. As you can see, I put the long screw go in first. Okay, so everything's neatly attached to the bottom board of the RakonHeli carbon fiber. Now those 4 propeller cups, you can mix and match. I actually adding a different color so that I can put the two different colors so I can see the front or the back. So what I'm planning to do here is that I'm going to put the green cup, propeller cup, to the front, and the red will be into the rear. So that is just my preference. You can use all four the same color, but I think by mixing it up a little bit, make it a little more interesting. Now let's take a look at the propeller cups. In the propeller cup, like I said, you can mix and match them. You can use all the same color, or to make it more interesting by adding two different color to the front or to the back. It depends on what your preference are. So now that you decide which color go into the frame, so you locate the front of the frame and then put that color cups to the location that you chosen. With the propeller cups, there are three screws. The long one is in the middle, and these are the hexa screw. So you remove the middle screw is the longest one. That's gonna go through the frame and the stand. And the two side screws, they are shorter screws. So what I like to do at this point is before I attach those propeller cups to the frame, I like to take the thread locks and use that into those little screw hole on the cups before I attach them to the frame. By doing that, because in this area where a lot of vibration will happen from the motor, so you want to make sure that it's secure to the frame and the screw won't vibrate and become loose later on. So you just have to put a little drop into the little small screw holes there and just wipe it off any excess liquid, and then attach that with the screw to the frame. So now that all four of them are installed, this is what it looks like once you have them all installed into those location where all those propeller cups go. So in my case here, I use the front as the green cups and the back is red. So this time you can just bring back your controller board and line them up at the exact hole for the rubber grommets that go into those each location. So just gently install those rubber grommets. Don't force them. You don't want to rip them. They're pretty soft. You be patient and take your time. Put them in one by one. So now all the rubber grommets are in place. You can see here they're all in their own location, all four of them, three in the back here and then one underneath the camera itself in the front. So make sure those are coming through, make sure they're secure underneath those each hole, and that's important. You don't want to miss any of those. So next, what you want to do is to install your battery strap underneath the quad by sliding it through and just snake it through those two slots. This way it gives you a nice strap for your battery underneath the quad itself. So this is where you're gonna do it. So now what I do is I take those little rubber feet from the old frame and reattach them to the bottom of the feet of the new frame. Kind of give them a little more cushion when it land on hard surface. So with those four rubber feet underneath those landing gears, just kind of give them a little pressure so to make sure that they stick to the bottom of it. So the next step is to install that power switch. So the power switch is actually have a place here on in the back on the Rakon Heli frame. So what you need to do is you need to use the screws that include in the kit, but also a washer that you have to use for this to connect to tie them into the frame by screwing them with the washer. So here is the end result. As you can see here, I screwed them both to the frame, as you can see, with the washer to hold down those switches, and then I connect the connector to the controller board. So now is the time to install the motors into the correct slot location of the quad. So remember, I actually marked them 1, 2, and 3, and 4. First, I start with the top right corner of the quad, which is motor number 1, by slide those cables through that little slot there. So that slot is actually designed to have those cable, the motor cable, coming through there and connecting to the main board. Just take your time, make sure that you don't snatch any cable or damage anything, and slide through. It should fit it properly there, plenty of space for you to slide through there. Once it comes through, just make sure that everything is sitting correctly, and then you use the 3 motor mount screw line up with those holes in that propeller cups. So now all the motors are installed. Everything connects through that little gaps in the frame there and connecting to the main board. So make sure that your propellers is clear from those wires so that you don't spin and touch those wires and cut them. That's important. As you can see, you can verify underneath there, make sure that the wires is clear from propeller as it spin around. So check for that gaps, make sure everything's clear. This way you don't have any damaged wire as you're flying around. So the next thing I would like to do is to put a little, just to ensure that the the cable is not, moving around as it's flying. So I just put a little tie wrap underneath there to hold that cable in one place. So just repeat that process in the other motors as you go through. Make sure you don't have to tighten it real hard, just make it snug so that the cable doesn't move and it doesn't, push up so that the propeller will hit it at any chance. So that's just a preference. You don't have to do this, but I just want to do that just to make sure peace of mind so that it's pretty much holding in place at that point. So now it's time to, you know, put in the canopies. So in my case is I order extra canopies. So this is pretty good color canopies to match the custom design here, and also there's a black canopies that you can pick out. Rakon Heli actually selling all varieties of canopy. They sell fiberglass canopies. You can interchange them if you like. So in this particular build, I probably like to use this one, the camouflage canopies at this point. So first off, you have to use the stand that's included in the kit to install it on the frame so that the canopy can attach to that standoff. So I use two standoff to do that.